2024. Over 500,000 new rental units rise across the nation.
A record-breaking number of new apartment buildings are sprouting up around the country this year, more than 500,000 to be exact.
Steel, glass, and concrete stretching into the sky like monuments to progress. A 30% surge in construction, but don't be fooled, because behind the cranes and ribbon cuttings, something darker is unfolding. Housing has never been more unaffordable, and this building boom, it's not a solution, it's a shell game. They told us the answer was simple: build more homes, and they did. But not for you, not for your family, not for anyone trying to survive in this economy. They built for profit, for portfolios, for faceless investors halfway around the world. And now, we've got a market overflowing with so-called luxury, and still, millions can't find a place to live. It's a paradox by design, a system rigged to look productive while quietly collapsing beneath its own greed. Luxury towers sit half empty. Developers can't offload them. Landlords are bleeding cash, and working families still locked out. This isn't just a housing crisis, it's an indictment of everything we were promised. A rebellion is brewing beneath the skyline, because sooner or later, the illusion shatters, and we're forced to ask, who are we really building for? You see the skyline growing, but behind those glass walls, it's empty. Units sit vacant. Prices remain sky high. Not because of demand, but because the game is rigged to keep it that way. Developers inflate rents to juice valuations. They don't care if you move in, they care if Wall Street buys in. These buildings aren't homes, they're assets. And you're collateral. Every luxury high-rise comes with a hidden cost, and it's paid by the renters pushed out, the families displaced, the neighborhoods hollowed. But this isn't a failure of capitalism. It's the intended outcome of a system built on extraction, not inclusion. The middle class is being priced out, the poor are being erased, and the American dream, it's being packaged, securitized, and sold. And yet, they'll keep telling you the market will correct itself. But what happens when the market isn't broken? What if it's working exactly as planned? You're told the market is booming, but behind the headlines, the cracks are already spreading. In places like Austin, landlords are desperate, offering 3 months of free rent just to fill their so-called luxury apartments. Vacancy rates have surged past 15%, and that's not a blip, it's a warning sign. Nationwide, rent growth for upscale apartments has crashed, from 11.8% to negative territory in just 1 year. A complete reversal. But here's the kicker. While high-end towers sit half empty, the average American can't even afford a modest 2-bedroom. This isn't market misfire, it's manufactured dysfunction. An engineered illusion where supply looks abundant, but access is deliberately denied. We're not witnessing housing development. We're witnessing a shell game dressed in marble and rooftop decks. Value has been replaced by veneer, substance by spectacle, and this pattern, it's not new. In fact, you've seen this movie before. Back in the 1970s, America launched a massive apartment boom. It worked, at first. Government-backed housing programs matched real demand. People moved in, communities grew, but then came the 1973 oil shock.
About 50 years ago, prices spiked 30%. We're talking to people in Northeast Wisconsin about what they remember about the 1973 oil embargo.
The collapse of Bretton Woods, global recession, and just like that, the scaffolding came down. Construction froze, prices fell, lending died overnight. Fast forward to today, and history isn't just repeating itself, it's being weaponized. The luxury buildings may have changed, but the playbook hasn't. Only now, it's wrapped in granite countertops and Instagrammable lobbies. The difference? Today's boom was never designed to serve the public. It was designed to serve the portfolio. Meet the modern housing market's golden child, the DINK household. Dual income, no kids, young, mobile, cash rich. the perfect consumer for the luxury machine. Developers zeroed in, investors followed, and the result? Cities filled with sterile luxury units built for people with no kids, no time, and no plans to stay. But behind the champagne finishes and wellness spas lies a darker reality. These spaces weren't built to nurture life. They were built to flip paper. And when the music stops, guess who's left standing without a chair? Not all luxury lives in the sky. Developers have found a new frontier: townhomes. From Prosperita Naperville to Sonora in Austin to Vida in San Antonio, the strategy is the same. Package exclusivity, price out the middle, sell it as progress. These aren't homes for the average family. They're vertical gated communities for the upwardly mobile. And while the branding screams accessibility, the pricing tells another story. Don't be fooled. This isn't housing for the people. It's segmentation at scale, dividing the market into tiers of desirability and keeping the lower rungs permanently out of reach. Somewhere along the way, housing stopped being a human right and became a financial product. The roof over your head is now a line item on someone else's quarterly report. Enter the REIT, real estate investment trusts. Wall Street's way of turning homes into stock options. Entire apartment complexes, thousands of units, aren't just being built, they're being packaged, securitized, and sold like tech stocks. And the kicker? Many of these buildings were never meant to serve residents. They were built for the sale. Here's how it works. A developer builds a complex. A private equity firm buys it. They flip it into a REIT. That REIT gets traded on the open market. And now your apartment, your rent, is fueling dividend payouts in Singapore, Zurich, and Abu Dhabi. This isn't housing, it's a casino floor with granite countertops. The developers don't care if the units are empty. The investors don't care if the rent is unaffordable. As long as the building looks profitable on paper, the illusion is complete. You can't see the vacancy in a spreadsheet. You can't hear the silence behind those closed doors. But it's there. The emptiness is hidden in plain sight. And here's where it gets darker. When something goes wrong, and it always does, who's responsible? Not the developer, not the firm that bought it, not the REIT that owns 2% of it. Nobody. It's a chain of passing the buck, a hot potato of liability, and by the time you discover mold, flooding, or structural damage, the original builder is long gone. And good luck suing a corporation with 12 layers of shell ownership. Why build like this? Because quick flips are faster than stable returns. Because investors crave yield, not livability. Because in this system, your suffering is someone else's passive income. And the worst part? It's legal, it's mainstream, it's praised on CNBC. While investors cash out, families are being pushed out. The more we build for profit, the more we displace the people who were already here. Teachers, nurses, single parents, first-time buyers, retirees. These aren't just numbers on a chart. They're people watching the ground shift beneath their feet. In the shadows of luxury buildings, homelessness is rising. In once stable neighborhoods, gentrification is accelerating. In every major city, communities are being erased. Not because of natural disaster, not because of war, but because someone saw a spreadsheet and chose yield over people. They call it workforce housing. Attainable luxury. Affordable by design. But the truth? If you need 2 jobs to afford it, it's not affordable. If you can't raise a child in it, it's not family housing. If your rent eats 50% of your paycheck, it's not sustainable. This isn't just about shelter, it's about dignity. When housing becomes unstable, everything unravels. Mental health, relationships, safety, sleep. How do you plan for a future when your foundation is built on uncertainty? How do you thrive when your home is a countdown clock? Cities used to be built for the people who lived in them. Now they're curated for the people who might invest in them. The skyline isn't yours. The sidewalks aren't yours. Even your block might not be yours next year, and that's the plan. Because ownership is no longer the goal. Control is. Every empire collapses the same way. First slowly, then all at once. The housing market isn't crashing, it's rotting from the inside out. What looks like overbuilding is actually over-leveraging. What sounds like record growth is really fragile debt. What's sold as opportunity is a ticking time bomb. Thousands of these luxury units were financed on short-term, low-interest loans. Those loans are coming due. Interest rates have spiked. Refinancing is no longer an option. If these buildings don't start generating real income, now, developers won't just lose profit, they'll lose everything. And when they fall, they won't fall alone. Construction halts, jobs vanish. Local governments, once dependent on property taxes, face budget shortfalls. Schools, roads, sanitation, all impacted. And while the towers sit vacant, ordinary people pay the price, again. What happens when the middle class can't buy, the poor can't rent, and the wealthy stop investing? You don't just get a correction, you get a collapse of confidence in the system itself. One that can ripple through entire cities, banking institutions, even global markets. And this time, there's no bailout coming. They built the towers, they sold the illusion, they cashed the checks. And now, they'll walk away, but we'll be the ones buried in the rubble. So as luxury towers rise and vacancy rates climb, we're left with a haunting question. Are we building homes for people or just assets for portfolios? Because if we don't change course, the skyline will become a graveyard of empty promises. Empty units, empty lobbies, empty futures. And for millions of Americans, the dream of a safe, stable home will remain just that, a dream. I see this happening every day, right here in the DMV. Homes are shrinking, but prices are soaring. Starter homes near $1 million. Downtown luxury apartments that no working family can afford. And the word luxury, it's been hijacked, used to justify unaffordable rent in buildings no one owns. We've sanctified ownership, but forced an entire generation into permanent renting. 2008 crash, firms like BlackRock, banks, and private equity groups have redefined housing. It's no longer shelter, it's strategy. No longer a home, but a holding. Housing has been swallowed by the machine, and we let it happen. I'm old enough to remember when 8% to 12% interest rates were the norm. We didn't panic, we adapted. But now, after years of 3% mortgages and artificial cheap money, people are still hoping for a return to the past. Let me say this plainly. Those days may never come back, and the longer we wait, the more we lose. Not just wealth, but agency, community, control. This isn't just about housing, this is about the soul of our cities, about who gets to stay and who gets pushed out, about whether the future will be owned by the people or bought out by the highest bidder. The system won't fix itself. And the truth is, it was never built to. So we have to ask ourselves, right now, before it's too late, are we going to reclaim housing as a human right, or watch it vanish, brick by brick, behind a paywall?